Oh no, I'm stuck. Stepbrother, can you help me?
Stop! You violated the law.
She's nice and all, but I realistically could do this. Oh, I could. Stop trolling all on sub. Oh no. Oh no, we're gonna lose a sub. Oh no. I mean, he wasn't exactly wrong. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially more selection pack content, so I still have a whole bunch of videos planned. I know I've already done 4 videos on this pack, but there's still a whole bunch of content to do based around the anniversary and the selection pack. I've still got more Tronic FTK, Dinomorphia with some of the new Synchro cards, including maybe Exosister as well. I've got Illusion of Chaos Libromancer, Illusion of Chaos Spiral, I've got a bunch of other sprite variants. I've still got so much content to make, so if you're interested in seeing any of those videos, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing down below. Alright, let's get into today's deck list. Alright, so this deck list contains 5 main deck Exosister monsters. We have your Elis, we have your Stella, we have your Irene, we have your Sophia, and we have of course Martha, with Martha being by far the most powerful in the deck list and of course the brand new card. Now they all come with a nice little shared effect, except Martha who has a slightly different one, but it still does roughly the same thing. So first of all we have your Elis, so we'll get their shared effect out of the way first. Basically, if your opponent moves a card out of their graveyard, you can special summon from your extra deck one Exosister Xyz monster using this face-up card you control as material, and all of these have that exact same effect, including Martha, but hers is a little bit different. Alright, then they will have a nice whatever bonus effect. So your Elis can special summon itself straight from hand if you have an Exosister, your Stella can special summon a Exosister straight from your hand, we have your Irene which can take a card in hand, put it back in your deck to draw a card, then we have your Sophia, which is the one you're going to be summoning quite a lot, purely because all it does is if you have an Exosister on field, you draw an extra card. Then we have Martha, who like I said is a little bit different to the others. So basically this card's shared effect is slightly different because this card says, if a card moves out of either graveyard, you can special summon an extra blah blah blah, same as all the other ones, except it doesn't specify your opponent has to do it. So unlike all these others that requires your opponent to move a card to activate their Xyz summon, this card doesn't. This card can just be on the field, you can activate Call by the Grave, banish something out of your opponent's graveyard, and you can Xyz summon, which doesn't work with all of the other ones, so keep that in mind, this one is a little bit different. But you're not really going to be using her for that anyway, because most of the time, you're just going to Xyz summon with her outright, because simply, if you control no monsters or own the Xyz monsters, you can summon this card from your hand, and if you do, special summon one Exosister Elis straight from your deck. So that gives you 2 level 4s to go straight into your Xyz monsters. Your first Xyz monster is going to be Mikailis, who I have no idea how to pronounce that name, I just sort of winged it, so feel free to cringe at me and correct me in the comments. Alright, so first of all, it cannot be destroyed battle with a monster special summoned from the graveyard, which is the same shared effect that all your Xyz monsters has. Then it has 2 effects. The first one is, on the turn it is summoned, and only on the turn it is summoned, in quick effect, banish one of your opponent's cards. Then, whenever you like, you can detach a material from it to search for a spell and trap card straight from your deck. Next up we have Kaspitell, who is generally used for its second effect, where you can simply just detach a material to search for an Exosister straight from your deck to your hand, but its actual effect is, when it is Xyz summoned, for that turn, neither player can special summon cards from their graveyard, so keep that in mind as there is plenty of situations where you can Xyz summon during your opponent's turn, and go into Kaspitell, so if you don't want your opponent summoning stuff from their graveyard, maybe there's an extremely heavy graveyard deck, just activate this, your opponent will just have a dead turn. Then we have your Gibrine. Now this card, or Gibrine, I don't know how to pronounce these cards. This card is actually quite nice. It has a quick effect, basically negate one of your opponent's monsters, and also it can attach a material for your monsters to gain a nice little attack boost. Then we have your Asophiel. Why are these cards so hard to pronounce? Asophiel? I have no, I give up. Basically, if this card is summoned, it becomes an Abyss Dweller. It makes it so that neither player can activate card effects in their graveyard. So keep that in mind again, very similar to your Kaspitell, where if you know your opponent is playing a graveyard heavy deck and they need effects in their graveyard, this is your dude. He also has a nice effect where you can detach one material to target one monster your opponent controls and just return it straight to hand. Then we have your big mummy of the deck, Exosisters Magnifica. This card takes 2 rank 4 Exosister Xyz monsters, which might seem like a very hefty toll, but keep in mind, it really isn't with this deck list. Literally, Martha plus any Exosister in hand will just equal this card, so it's pretty damn easy to pull off. Alright, must first be Exceed Summon, blah blah blah. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase, which is an effect you're all gonna laugh at me for in the comments, because I completely forgot about it when I was recording my replays earlier, so I'm pretty sure I missed out on like 7 attacks with this card or something, so feel free to make fun of me for that. Anyway, once per turn, quick effect, you can attach one material from this card to banish 1 card your opponent controls, and keep in mind that is a non-target banish. Alright, whenever your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you return 1 Xyz monster you own attached to this card to the extra deck, then you can special summon that monster by using this card as material. So simply, quick effect, banish one of your opponent's cards, then when they activate another card, swap this card over, bring out a Mikailis, and you have another banish. And then spoiler alert, you'll have 2 more banishes with that. Exosister Returnia. This card is going to be the main trap card you're going to be searching as part of all your combos just off of Mikailis alone. Alright, if all monsters you control Exosister monsters, pay 800 life points and target 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. Then you can apply one of the following effects. Immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed Summon one Exosister monster using monsters you control. You won't be using that effect all that often. If you Exceed Summon this turn, banish 1 card your opponent controls. So that's pretty insane, because you have your first banish, then you have your second banish, and keep in mind, you already did a banish with your Magnifica, and you already did a banish with your Mikailis. That's going to be 4 banishes during your opponent's turn. There are very few decks that are playing through that. And keep in mind, we also have like 17,000 hand traps in this deck list as well. Next up, we have your Vadis. This card is sort of the backup option to search for, as you don't want to go for it all that often, as it's not really a guaranteed kind of thing. It's a really powerful card, if you know your opponent's playing a graveyard deck. Otherwise, you're only really going to be searching for it if you already opened your trap card already, because then there's no point searching for a second one, so you grab this trap card instead. Pay 800 life points, choose 1 Exosister monster in your deck, then take 1 other Exosister monster that's mentioned in that monster's card text, and special summon them both, but shuffle them both into the deck during the end phase. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters except Exosister monsters. This is a really powerful trap card if you know your opponent's playing a graveyard deck, because you just summon out your Stella, or you summon out whichever one you like, it will summon out its little sister, and then all of a sudden, your opponent can't activate effects without you just Xyz summoning into the masses, so it's probably not a very good idea for them to do anything. So this card is really good. It's also good if your opponent just sort of has to pass the turn back, because obviously you just Xyz summon and go straight to full combo, go into your big boss monster, and you just kind of set up for the turn. So a nice trap card, but like I mentioned, you probably want to go for your Returnia more often as it's more guaranteed. And the last Exosister card in the deck list is going to be your Pax, which is a very simple card. During the main phase, pay 100 life points, add 1 Exosister card from your deck to your hand. And that's generally all you're going to be doing with it most of the time, as going first, that is all you're really going to be doing with it. But it does have a nice little bonus effect of if you added a monster by this effect, you can special summon it if the other Exosister monster mentioned on it is in your field or on the graveyard. So for example, you add your Elis to hand, but you have your Stella in the graveyard, which is mentioned on the card's text, you can summon this card straight to the field, and that works for all your sisters depending on whichever one they have listed in their card text. The final card I want to briefly mention in this deck list, as a lot of people might not have seen it before, is going to be your Zoroa, the Magistus of the Flame. This card is a card that just makes it really easy to play in Spellcaster rank 4 decks, which this deck list is, because simply, you can target 1 Magistus monster you control, equip with the Magistus monster from your extra deck. There it is. Keep in mind, this thing, when it's equipped, you can just search for another copy of this card, so it already generates extreme value. Then this card, when it's equipped with a card, can special summon a level 4 spellcaster monster in your hand or graveyard in defense position. So summon this thing out, attach it with one of your Artemises, activate Artemis, search for another Zoroa for following turns, which is really good follow-up considering this card could summon from graveyard, and then this card can then just summon out any of your Exosister cards straight from hand or graveyard, which all your cards require 2 level 4 monsters. There's nowhere written about it being specifically Exosisters, so it just becomes a really powerful card in this deck list. I wouldn't run 3 of them though, as it does require extra deck space to be able to actually use its effect, and I don't really want to clutter up my extra deck any more than I already have. To be fair though, you probably could run 3 and get away with playing 3 of this card, simply because the extra deck isn't that important outside the main Exosister cards. You could probably get away with banishing all these dudes if you like, especially considering we have things like your Prosperity in here anyway, so if you want to be able to play 3 of this, you can. I'm just going to run 2 of them. Also keep in mind this card is a tuner monster, that's why I'm running a copy of your Draco Berserker, because it is technically possible to summon it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. Let's get into some replays. Alright, so today I have 3 replays to show you guys, all of which are in Platinum 3, but don't be fooled by the fact that I started at Plat 3 and ended at Plat 3. The only reason I did that is because I didn't have to play many games with this decklist to get my 3 replays. The decklist was so good that after only 8 games, I already secured the 3 replays I wanted. I think I played 8 games, and of the 8 of them, I won 5 of them. And the only ones I really lost were ones where I just were hard misplaying or my opponents had some bullshit going first. So this deck list is really damn strong. Don't be fooled by Plat 3 to Plat 3. This deck list is 100%, and I guarantee that, a Diamond 1 worthy deck list. It is really damn strong. Any deck list that can play as many hand traps as this one does, in combination with the fact that it can banish 4 cards consistently during your opponent's turn, has to be a good deck list. That is just a ridiculous amount of disruption. It's good going first, and going second it's also not too bad, obviously because of the amount of hand traps we have. Speaking of which, this is showing off the fact that we can play both Maxx and of course Dimension Shifter, which in my opinion these 2 trap cards, other than maybe Ash Blossom, are just the most powerful hand traps in the game. In all honesty, this card actually might be more powerful than Ash Blossom simply because these cards by themselves will just win the game. Your opponent a lot of the time just can't play through Shifter, and a lot of the time can't play through Maxx. Both of them are absolutely absurd cards, and both of them can be played in this deck list. So this guy was playing Sprite. Activate Shifter, which is a really good card into Sprite, because they like to get a lot of cards in their graveyard and summon it back with Elf. Can't do that with this particular, this card in play. Alright, so he summons out some dudes. I thought he was going to stop at the monster negate, but it doesn't look like this guy's very good at piloting the deck list he's playing. He kind of did a lot of weird stuff. Just full on played into Maxx for no reason. It could have ended on just this card for a monster negate and just sort of passed, but he's just like, nah, here's another 15 cards, go right ahead. On the house. Also, he grabs this spell card, which by the way, he didn't even set at the end of the turn. Summons Sprite Elf to summon stuff back from graveyard when he literally can't summon stuff back from graveyard because there's nothing in there. Summons Masquerader and then just passes the turn without setting his spell card, which could banish cards from hand as well to get rid of Link 2s and banish my cards on the field, but I don't know, either way. Maybe didn't have another Sprite in hand or something. So summoning my Stella, who can summon an Exosister straight from hand. Activate my Pax, giving a search for my Elis. Gonna discard my card back to the deck to draw a card. Summon out my Gibrine. This was because I was worried my opponent was going to do some sort of link play or something I need to negate his card effect, because this card is a quick effect to negate. I also thought that I could use this on my opponent's Masquerader, but of course it's protected by his Elf, so I can't actually target this thing anyway, so I quickly figured that out, but it was still a good play anyway, because I don't want my opponent summoning something and making it impossible for me to make future plays, so it's nice to have a negate on the field. Right, so Martha summon out the other Elis from deck. Summon into my Mikailis. You can then search for a spell and trap card and also banish a card on the field. I immediately try to banish his monster on the field. This baits out his Masquerader. And now keep in mind I still have a negate if he summons Slink too annoying. But he summons out an Avramax. Which is no problem for this deck list because I'm going to search for my trap card first. Then I'm going to immediately summon using these two. Go straight into my Magnifica. And banish his card on the field, because mine is a non-target banish. And then I immediately forget that I can attack twice with this card and pass the turn. Alright. So I still have a quick effect banish, by the way. I misplay a bit here, because I'm pretty sure I decided to banish both these cards, which is not a good idea, because I don't actually have much follow-up, and this card, it can't swap over to the Exos monster attached to it if I'd attach too many monsters, which is what I did. So I banished both these cards, and then all of a sudden I now have no materials in this card, so I can't swap it over if my opponent uses a card effect, which is probably not the best idea. I don't think I was in too much of a hurry to banish this dude anyway. It's right, this card had lethal anyway because it could attack twice, so... Alright, on to replay number 2. Alright. This one, I didn't draw as many hand traps. I'm pretty sure I still drew Maxx. But I don't think the Maxx had as much value. I think it got cooled by it, if I remember correctly. Alright, so Pax searching for any Exosister. As long as you have an Exosister and Martha in hand, you're good to go. You're going to summon full combo. So Martha, summon itself to the field. Summon out my Elis. Summon my Sophia, draw a card. XD summon into my Kaspitell, which will then search from monsters from deck. Just going to search for my card that can special summon itself, grabbing Elis, so I can summon itself to the field so I can make 2 rank 4s. Alright, summon Mikailis. Now before I end the turn, I'm going to detach, search for a copy of my trap card, my Returnia. Set my 2 trap cards, of course, XD summon first. And I'm ready to go. Put in defense because of Lightning Storm. My opponent has to play through 2 hand traps, 2 lots of back row, and of course my quick effect banish. Summons a toad, I'm going to negate that. I think I played these duels pretty damn badly, I'm going to be honest. Because this one, I then decide to immediately banish the toad because I was worried he was going to special summon from hand with a sprite. I kind of forgot that this toad didn't normal summon, so he could just normal summon again anyway. I was kind of under the impression, I'll just banish this, then he can't special summon for the rest of the turn, but he just does a normal summon afterwards, so a little bit troll. Not that it particularly matters though. I activate my Maxx. He activates Ash Blossom, which just lets me activate this card's effect because you activate the card effect to swap it over. Which now means my trap card is completely live for a double banish, as well as my Mikailis, which is live to also banish. So opponent summons 2 cards to the field, I activate my trap card, banish both of them, and yeah, his turn is just completely done. And he just concedes from there. Alright, on to the final replay. And this one I think was against Dark Magician, I think? Which for some reason, of all the games I played today, was the one that, this one particular match was like the closest in terms of like, either, like it was actually a close game, which is weird to say, because Dark Magician, it's not a real deck, let's be honest. Alright. So Stella's going to activate its effect, special summon from hand. Called by the grave on his Maxx, which comes up later on because I then, spoiler alert, forgot that I did that and tried to use my Maxx on the following turn. Also important to note, by the way, if you happen to open an Elis in hand and a Stella, you don't want to use the Elis's hand, the Elis's effect if you don't have to. It's better to use the Stella's effect first to bait out things like effect veilers and imperms, because then you can still special summon this card and go into your combos. So yeah, generally better to use this as bait first. Alright, summon my Kaspitell, which will then give me a search. Unfortunately, my opponent had an effect veiler here, I'm pretty sure, and my turn's just dead from here. He didn't fall for the bait. So my combo is completely bricked. I can't really do anything else from here, so I just pass the turn. And prey on my Maxx, which is already called by the grave, so yeah. Alright, gets Eternal Soul. Activates his dragon, I'm a dum-dum. From here, he's now got a fusion summon into a, or suppose he can summon this, so he summons a Dark Magician as well. Yeah, uses his Illusion of Chaos to search for his other dude. Sends to the graveyard to special summon a Dark Magician. Goes to battle phase, forgets that he can't beat over this because he's a dum-dum. Because it's a card summoned from the graveyard, and my Exosists are immune to that. And before the turn ends, he fusion summons into what he thinks is a really nice boss monster. He's Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, which now protects his back row from being destroyed by card effects. And targeted, by the way, as well. Doesn't really bother me, though, because I can make a card that is a non-target banish. So, get a hold of Martha using my Pax, summon into my Kaspitell, get a search. Gonna be searching for the card draw. For some reason he used this now, don't really know why, but sure. Good on ya. Kaspitell gonna be searching, grabbing a hold of my Sophia, Generally, Sophia is the one you want to grab the most outside of these just flat out special summon from hand, because it's the one that gives you a free card draw. Draw into another Maxx. I drew this a lot today. Luck was pretty favoured for me today. Alright, so now my Mikailis. No point trying to banish these monsters because they're both named Dark Magician, so they're immune to my monsters anyway. Search my Returnia. See summon out. Magnifica. And this card that's currently non-targetable and immune to destruction effects is gone. And bye-bye field. This card could be... Dark Magician could be such a good deck if this card just didn't nuke your own field. It's such a silly, it's just a silly card. Alright. From here, he actually still has plays to make, apparently. He's not done yet. Alright, searches for his Soul Servant. In response to the Soul Servant, I'm going to use my Magnificent effect to swap it over. Simply because I want my trap card to be fully alive, and this is the best way to do it. And because if I used my material to detach beforehand, I wouldn't be able... So if I used my this card's effect to detach to remove one of my opponent's cards, I wouldn't have been able to do this with Exceed Summon, and my trap card would never have been live, so I wanted to do this first. Alright. Obviously this card's better for follow-up as well, since he can actually do a card search. Mikailis going to be banishing this card, so we can't get his search off of it. He apparently still wasn't done after this, because he went to battle phase, swung in, and activated the stupid Magic Karibo, which I forgot even existed. New card, by the way. Tries to summon his dude, I'm just going to banish that. And from here, yeah, he has nothing left, and I have a card search, so... Summon Sophia, draw a card. Activate Mikailis, searching for my Pax. Pax then just summon the Exosister straight to the field. Doesn't matter which one I grab really, just summon it to the field. Exceed summon out my Asophiel. Just in case my opponent had some sort of tricky business in the graveyard to summon something back, we're going to just stop that. And he's dead. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokaba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.